Welcome to the Northbound Solutions podcast, where we learn to lead as God has commanded. This vision was born deep in the mountains of California, a place free from distraction, where the calling became clear to empower and encourage others to follow the way of leadership. It's at Northbound Solutions that we believe the trail is narrow. It's not easy, but it's bold and it's beautiful and it's rooted in truth. Our world needs Christ-centered leaders, and together we're answering that call. So let's move forward, strong in purpose, united in faith, and always heading northbound. All right. Hey, welcome everybody to the Northbound podcast. Northbound Solutions was created with this vision to elevate your team through Christ-centered leadership. So it is to encourage your organization through leadership mentoring, coaching, human capital development, conflict and change management, and process adjustment. Today, we're talking about process improvement and adjustment. That's one of the main topics. I want to introduce the guest on the show today, the founder and owner of 2Mation Solutions located in Gretna, Nebraska, Luke Bertwistle. Luke, welcome to the Northbound podcast. We're happy to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are and where you're from, family, all that.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. I appreciate being on the podcast. And yeah, it's great just to even, like I was telling you before, it's great to even just think about as preparing for this, just like what the Lord has done. And so to answer your question to begin with, I'm a Nebraska kid through and through. So that you from being from California, you have that stigmatism of just a farm kid and corn. Yep, that was exactly me. I grew up on a farm and then moved into town into Stanton, Nebraska. So we're just southeast side of Nebraska. And then now I'm here in Omaha, Gretna. And so, the Lord's kind of taken me kind of in this journey and from a farm kid now to owning my own technology business. And then now I have a wonderful wife, beautiful wife, and 5 kids. We just sent one of my kids off to school in Columbia. So yeah, we're kind of in that next stage too, but we're definitely busy and there's definitely a lot of things going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I might be from California, but I did grow up on a small farm.
Oh, yeah.
We do have farms out there.
No, it's just funny. Anytime I talk about that, like that's just oh, did you grow up on a farm? And you got to say, hey, yeah, I did.
Yeah, if you're from Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
We all have these formulated ideas of what it's like anywhere, like when I was in California and we're going to move to Nebraska, and I'm just like, what? Like, I got to look and see where that even is. And then, but no, it's been awesome now that we live here.
Yeah. When your football team is called the Corn Husker, then like you've already set the stage, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been awesome to get to know you over the past year, Luke. And
Likewise.
I'm happy that we're getting this time to talk about what you do and kind of, it's just been awesome to be able to work together, and not only at the church or with the church, but also with our 2 businesses as well. So tell us about 2Mation Solutions and what you do and what services you offer.
Yeah. So 2Mation really is just the principle I started the company of technology made easy. So we want to make your life easier. And that's a very simplistic kind of mission statement that I put together of just, it really doesn't matter what technology it is. We just want that technology to work and to make your life easy. Because I've been in many different positions in the technology world. And that was one of the things that just drove me crazy is you get all these different apps, you get, even as a small business, you know exactly what you want to do. But if your technology, or if you have too much technology, even for what you're trying to do, it just gets so complex and so expensive and it just doesn't work. So you spend more time kind of working on your technology or getting it to do what you want it to do versus just what your business is supposed to do. So that's really why I started the business. And we do web development, we do mobile app development, but the kind of really where the business is driving is more towards just the automation side of things. That's what 2Mation is. It's transformation through automation. Get it? nations. So that's essentially where the business is kind of moving towards, is just, coming into small business, coming into other businesses and just saying, let me take a look at what technology you have and let's get it working the way you want it. Let's get it talking together. If you're doing a lot of manual processes, let's get it working so you can spend more time focused on what you do best versus your technology. So, and in a nutshell, that's really what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll put a plug in there because see, we all have different gifts and different strengths and different
Yeah,
passions and all that. That's why it's so important that we all work together. You and I met each other from church, and then we teamed up together not because of business, but just to encourage each other,
right.
um as we walk with God. And then that has led us to talk about business, and then now you're helping me with my business because you have strengths that I do not have. In fact, what you talk about, like what 2Mation does, is so overwhelming to me because I have no idea where to start. And so, like, when I'm running, just for this small business that I've been putting together, I'm running multiple programs that I
Yeah.
have no business running. I have no idea how they talk to each other. And you have already helped me immensely with that. And I know that there's other people out there that have multiple systems, whether it's a gentleman I've been talking to that runs Jobber and QuickBooks and multiple stuff. And just being able to put those things together when we have 500 different applications or programs running, it's overwhelming. And then when we're trying to, especially for leaders who have maybe a large group of folks that they're leading, to
Right.
get bogged down in all of those programs and applications really takes away from their opportunity to lead and to have personal relationships with the people that they lead.
Yeah. And not only that, it's everyone now, because apps are so available for everything. Well, there, it's coming. Even this technology, right?
Yeah.
But so like already, like even if you are leading a big team, and their technology and apps are just so available now. You can just get on your phone and grab an app for something. Now
Right.
it becomes very hard as a leader because everyone's coming to you with, well, if we just use this, or if we use AI for this, or and you have all these different thoughts and ideas, which are awesome. Like we want to have that, but how do you kind of structure that in a way to where it is like you're not getting app overload or technology overload because everyone's kind of using a different program or a different app. That has been something that I've seen, at least on the business and the leadership side, is all leaders want to make their employees jobs easier so they can focus in and get results. And that's
Yes.
how you, as a good servant leader, that's what you're trying to do. Is I want to remove all the roadblocks so they can flourish in what it is that I want them to do and what they're called to do from God. And so, like, but when you have all these different ideas coming together, like the first response as a leader might be so busy that they're just like, yeah, just do it. Well, then eventually you just have all these despondent kind of siloed apps that are all doing something, and there's somebody and probably multiple people actually making sure they all work, or at least getting data from one to the other. Where that's what I've seen is just coming in and saying, well, you have like three or four apps that are basically doing either the same thing or they're doing most of the 80% of the same thing. And then here's a 20% or 10% that you might want to go and find something, but you can consolidate things, or at least get them to talk to one another. So the data is already there and you don't have to manually do stuff. But I've seen that across the industries, and that's not just a particular industry. That's really in business in general. Um,
Well, you and I were just talking about it the other day because I brought up Podia or Podia, however you say it, and Wix does a lot of things that program does, and vice versa. So it's like you may not need one over the other.
right.
If you already have one program, you might be able to use that. Um, and in some cases, like I've gone back and forth on a couple of the programs I use now, like Riverside um, versus what's the other one? Anyways, my mind's gone blank. But I was looking at different video podcast sites, and they're not all created equal, and it depends on what you want to do and what's best for your business. And so getting advice and counsel on that is really, really valuable, which is where you've already helped me immensely, just going, hey, you might not need this, or this might work better for you. And so that's fantastic. And it leads to one of the questions I had for you, and you kind of I think you already started jumping into it a little bit, and that is just, what's your biggest recommendations for an organization or business that needs help in these areas, and how can you help them?
Yeah, so it really does just start with, I always say, just to simplify, because to your point, a lot of times, and I've worked with, and I am one of those people that can get very complicated in certain times. But if I've been on development teams, and so when you're talking about applications, that can get very complicated. But I've always said, just from a simplicity standpoint, is just always look at what are those manual things you're doing, or what is the time that you're spending within each app. And that's kind of just that driving kind of factor, as far as, maybe I'll take a look at
Mm,
that first, because I'm a minimalist by nature. Like, I just like, let's take a look at what you're doing now, let's take a step into that, and then let's just make sure it scales as you move forward. But a lot of people will start with my vision, especially if you're a leader, and I struggle with this as a business. I will start with my vision, and I want that vision now. And so I might be way down here, but I don't want to do anything until I get that. Like, I get that perfect solution. And most of the time, it is a step process, just like anything else, even when you're starting a business. And so, same thing with technology, is I just come in and start asking questions, just listen, kind of just understand what you currently are doing, where you're spending the most of your time. And then, and maybe it is, maybe you need an app, maybe you already have them. But I try not to even come in with that goal of, I want you to keep those apps. Like, I don't want to, I'm not here to say, hey, go with my app or anything like that. Like, I want you to keep what's working well for you. And it is about that process improvement. And I try to give you kind of a step by step.
mm,
Here's what I see that the most need is. Let's do that now. And here's a reason, how we can do that now. Oh, but we'll get to your vision. That's step 2, 3, 4. But let's get stuff working for you now, like right away. There is a lot of things you can do as you work towards that vision, that technology vision you have, that you can just see incremental steps and see momentum carried, and get, your employees, get people on board with it, as they see it work. Because we've all been down that road, right? Where maybe a leader or somebody has said, here, we're just going to do this, and it's this massive kind of technology, it's this massive program, or we're switching programs completely, and it takes years, and employees turnover, just everything happens. Well, I really, really try just to do a kind of a step by step process, and hope that your existing technology works, and it just needs to talk to each other. And so that's where the start of it is, anyway, where 2Mation can kind of help, I think.
yeah, that is awesome. Do you have like is there a behind, can you show us behind the scenes how you would do that? Like, what's the
Well, yeah, I can. Man, you're putting me on the spot. Wow. Let's see. Does that work?
Yep, I can see it.
Excellent. Yeah. So I'm kind of jumping in the middle of what I said, more of like your technology working together for you. There's so many tools out there now that make this easier on the back end. So you don't have to have another app on your phone, or you don't have to have another app. What I'm showing you here is, it's a tool called Make, formerly Integromat, if you're a nerd like me. And so what this does is, this is basically kind of behind the scenes of just kind of helping your applications talk to one another. And so why I show this is just because I just want you to see just kind of how easy some of this stuff is. And you can go out there now, and you can sign up. It's actually really cheap to get. And so like I have these what they would call scenarios, and really that is just what do you want the system to do. And so I kind of laid it out just so you see, like this one here is processing invoices for me. So it's taking invoices from my Outlook and then saving them into OneDrive. We kind of have a specific place that we try to track all of our documentation for searching purposes. And so that's what this is doing, is just monitoring our kind of invoicing email and then putting it into Outlook. But the one I was going to show you, because you brought up QuickBooks, is this one here. We have essentially what we're doing is our developers have to track their time. And what I was finding, because you and I were talking about a potential client that you have that was having some issues just invoicing out of QuickBooks. And it got me to thinking, I was like, well, I'm basically paying somebody to track our developers' time and get it into QuickBooks so that they get paid for their payroll. And so I set this up within an hour, just to kind of prove the proof of concept here. And let me see if I can drill in on this a bit. But so this is our system right here. This is our system. It's a ticketing system that we've built, that is tracking customer issues that come in. And then our developers kind of handle those issues as they come in. And they track that time from start to closure. And so what I'm doing here is I'm pulling that data from our system and then going and searching the customer in QuickBooks. So this tool has already hooks within QuickBooks and various systems. And even if it doesn't specifically have a module, is what they call it, for the system, that's why I can actually go and get it. But so I'm searching customers, I'm searching for the employee in QuickBooks, and then I'm creating the time in QuickBooks automatically, so it can know for payroll purposes that what that person did, and then they get paid. So this took me less than an hour, and I basically just freed up my admin to now do other things that I need them to do, and that we've kind of had more on the QA side for our apps. But instead of now her having to enter in all this information within the hour, I have it coming from one system, moving it over into QuickBooks, and QuickBooks now is running payroll already. So that's just kind of an example of a very simple kind of example of one that's like, think through those kind of manual tasks that you're doing every day, and you'll realize, like, if I saved, again, my admin, an hour even of just entering in time, play that out every day, you're saving quite a few hours throughout the week, throughout the month.
Okay, so you could say this is simple, but the fact that like this is not simple to me. This is the thing. Like, if a business is focused on this stuff and integrating all of their processes, in some cases they are not focused on what they need to be focused on. This is especially true for me. Like, I would waste there would be so much wasted time with me trying to integrate everything. That's why, if for anybody listening out there, if you need this for your business, just come see Luke with 2Mation, because this is incredible, Luke. And again, I think this is why it's so good that we work together and that we meet people with different gifts and different talents and different skill sets and different experiences, because we can help each other be more efficient. And for leaders in the workplace or in their organization and ministry, all that, not being focused on this means they can be focused on their people, which is so valuable. So this is incredible, Luke.
Well, and so I guess that's a good point. I didn't even say it. So what we do from 2Mation side of things is we'll set this up for you. So we essentially just build this out in a service. So a lot of times, because it is just for us, like we've done so many of them, that it is so easy to do for us that we won't charge for that part of things of just setting it up. So we just charge a monthly fee for this purpose, that just so you can get things talking from one side to the other, or those manual data points that you want into your systems. A lot of this stuff we don't even charge for, because like for me, it took less than an hour to put this together, and then we just have a monthly fee that so your systems just run. It just works. It does what it does, and you don't have to worry about it. And most of that, like I said, the development of your system, especially if it's something like QuickBooks or something easy, we don't even charge for that, because we know you once you get into the service, you'll expand that out to other things as well. And we're just happy to have you as a customer, happy to have you have that monthly payment. And helps me from a budgeting standpoint as well, to know the income coming in. So yeah, so we try to at least you know try to have integrity around that. That's one of our core principles, is just saying the truth, being truthful, like the Bible says. And yeah, hopefully you'll see a big impact through just moving data from one system to the other.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, Luke. So, we could probably talk about you could probably show us stuff on here for
Well,
a
yeah,
few
and
days.
like I was saying, we're doing email processing. We have our own ticketing system that, as an app, we have a ticketing system that, so if anybody's looking for some support around that we have a ticketing system. But the big thing we use, just what I'm showing here, is processing emails from clients. So as soon as they get an email, it automatically routes to people. So it gets to the right person at the right time. And so, I mean, there's so many things that you can do. Even just think of through how many documents you get in your email and what you do with those documents, especially from a business standpoint. There's just so many little things that we spend so much time, especially it's like, death from 1,000 paper cuts, right? Like, it doesn't seem like it's that much. But when you add that up throughout your day and week, it it's a lot. Like it is for me anyway.
Oh, absolutely. No, this is for so many organizations and teams out there. This is a game changer. This changes everything for them, because it if they're not focused on pushing data manually from one program to another and spending all that inordinate amount of time doing that. And I have had many jobs where I am doing that. In the Air Force, there was so much data entry taking place. Even when we would say that we were going paperless, we would still enter a bunch of data, print it off, hand it to somebody. They would take that data from what you printed on 1,000 pieces of paper, walk it down the hall, and manually enter it into
Right.
another program down the hall. And so, for a organization to have this service done for them is a game changer. It opens up time to focus on people and make money. So,
Yeah.
um, so and this probably leads to the next question I had for you, but why did you start this business? It it looks to me like you started it purely to help people, but yeah, tell us why you started 2Mation. And
Yeah. So I already kind of said it didn't begin with, but I started it just because I saw what technology was becoming. It is amazing to me. And no, there's really good companies out there. So no disrespect. And I know I'm generalizing, but it was crazy like how much clients were being really gouged by prices, and technology. Like we do our own hosting as well for our apps and things. And so we essentially, I just put in to say we're doing cost plus 10%, like that's it. Because there's just, it's amazing how much like they charge compared to what it actually costs. And and we see it too for hourly rates and just everything. So all that to say, I hated user fees. It seemed like as soon as a manager and as a leader, as soon as I purchase something, then the very next invoice, that next yearly invoice, it was like up by 20, 30, 40%. And there was now more on user fees. So I hate that. And I'm trying my hardest not to go user-based fees as well on our apps. But so, I mean, there's just a lot of things I just did not like about. I love technology and I love just putting in simple things for people. And that's why I started it. I was like, I don't, I want, I knew there was a need. I knew that I could help people. Like God has just given me this gift to really see things and even complex things kind of in an easy way and pick out, kind of those things that are most important. So that's why I started. I just wanted to consult. I wanted to get in front of as many people as possible, of however the Lord kind of led that, just to help. Just like the business is just to make your life easy. Like that's all. That's what it boils down to. And it's been great to see kind of how the Lord's really worked, because I really didn't have a business plan. I really didn't have goals or anything like you would think. As you start a business, I was just had this thought, and the Lord kind of gave it to me of, and you could make lives easy, like for people. And so just started doing that. And then it's just been great to see kind of how the Lord has blessed that in different ways. And every time I get to meet somebody, every time I get to hear their story, it's an opportunity just to speak encouragement to them and life to them, especially if they're in a stage of discouragement right now. Like, so that's why I started it. And now we're growing, and even in employees, we have now 3 developers plus an admin. So we're 5 strong, and continuing, I think hopefully within the next year or so, we might hire again. And so that's even been an opportunity too, just to say, here's our core values. Here's what we believe. Here's what, it's on our website as far as our core values and the kind of the scripture associated with it. And it's given me an opportunity there to say, like, no, like, you can work here if you don't believe. Like, that's perfectly fine. I'm not out here saying that you have to believe in the Lord to work here, because there's great people that are not believers. Like, there's just good people. But here's why we did it. Like, here's why I do it. And that kind of the core beliefs, the mission, like, that's not changing regardless if you believe or not believe. Like, to make life easy for people, to have technology that's really easy to use, that you don't need a manual for, like, you don't need training. I don't even have videos yet out there for the apps that I have. And so, because when people get access to it, like, wow, this is really easy, I kind of know. And so just those things, like, I can just interject even into the company to say, yeah, just make sure it's easy, make sure it's for the person, not just because it's cool, right? Because that's what technology's come. Well, it's cool. Like, we got to be, but and no, like, man, it's got to be easy. It's got to be very simple. So, a long-winded answer to your question,
No,
but
that's
I get
awesome, Luke.
fired up every time we talk about it.
No, that is great. And you know, you just listed out some great goals and a
Yeah.
great vision. And sometimes when we start business, we can get real in the weeds about vision and goals and all that, and lose the big picture too. So the big picture is clear for you, and that is to encourage and disciple others, and just help people.
Well, and shameless plug for you, because I think that's why we've, partnered so well, because that the businesses align in that. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, you talked about it before. You want to, like, really just encourage leaders, have that plan for businesses for leaders. And then there's this technology that's underneath it that has to happen too. And so, but the overall goal is the same. Like, we
Yeah.
want to encourage people of what they're doing in their business, and really what they're doing even in their personal lives. Like, it matters.
Yeah.
And their influence is it matters too. Like, every day they have influence on somebody, and that is what should be driving us, is the people aspect of things. And for us, it's, it's God, it's working for those opportunities he's given us.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, there's so much in this world. There's just so much negativity and so much competition, and
Hmm.
and it doesn't have to be that way. Like, man, it's so freeing just to do
Hmm.
what you're called to do.
Well, and technology is awesome for helping
Yeah.
us. And all these applications and programs are so incredible for helping us do things more efficiently. But we it can also, it just takes away from personal relationships sometimes.
Yes.
That's why I encourage anybody who is bogged down in their applications and programs and data entry to find ways to become more efficient and just get rid of that off of your plate. Get rid of those tasks so that you can focus on people. So you can focus on not only your employees but also your customers. Just focusing on people. I mean, it is clear in the Bible, from beginning to end, it is
Yeah.
about people. It is about that. So all this is great for being efficient and running a good business, but if you're bogged down in it, it will hurt you. So, um, since you started this business, Luke, 2Mation, what are some of your biggest challenges that you have had, and then how did you overcome those?
The
I know that's
squirrel
a
in the
big
room.
question. Do we have?
No, the squirrel in the room. The darn squirrel in the room is my biggest challenge. Is just like I said, I'm moving in a direction and then something will happen and it's a
Mm,
squirrel and I turn and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go do this. And then
mm,
and it's that squirrel that's just like what we talked about, is just being laser focused and making sure even every even everything, because there's, especially in the technology world, there's just so much new, and you see everything out there on social media as far as like, well, you better be doing this and this, or you better be the front line in AI, and so it's the lies that happen all the time as far as
mm,
you should versus what I know from what God has called me to do, and just being laser focused on that, trusting that happens. And even regardless of how far God takes it, it is his. So just want to be so sensitive to that, and to be laser focused in what God wants me to do, not what everyone else is telling me to do. And I will say that the things that I've struggled with the most is, by nature, we're all the same way of just, I have this vision of things and even when I'm working on something, like I have this vision, I want it to be this way. And I want it to make sure that it is easy, and even it looks great. Like, so you have all these things that you have this vision. And if it doesn't work, or if you fail at it, like I've had a lot of failure in it, to just I to always constantly go back to, well, maybe I shouldn't even be doing this, or maybe this thing isn't going to work out, or and to start getting your mind in those lies again of just, that's where the evil one wants you to sit. If you believe like that is where the evil one wants you to sit in isolation, and wants you to sit in doubt as far as where God is taking
mm,
you. So
mm.
instead, I've been really trying to not only memorize some scripture, but really try to move past that faster, in the sense of like, failure is actually an opportunity, and it's actually success, and it's opportunity to move and to learn, and then to keep moving. So those two things, I think, were the biggest challenges. And I've only been doing this, if you look at you can't see but if you look at the poster, like, the business was started in 2018, but that was all just full-time consulting. I haven't really started the business in the last 2.5 years. So it's new in that aspect of, how do I transition this consulting thing into a business, which is a whole nother thing we could talk about in a different podcast. Um, but that's what I've learned most than anything, is you can't think of failure as a bad thing. Everyone's going to fail, and
Yeah.
it is an opportunity to learn and then move forward into that, to being laser focused into what you're called to do.
Yeah, that's powerful, Luke. And you know, I was just thinking while you're saying that, I'm thinking about, that's why relationships are so vitally important for us, because I go, I can't do this. And I'm like, I'm, I feel like a failure because I can't figure this thing out. Well, there's somebody that knows exactly how to help you with that.
Yeah.
um, and so having those relationships, and like, just between you and me, I can feel real quick like I just don't know what I'm doing because I can't link this up with this, or I can't figure this out on when I'm developing a website or whatever the case may be. And you're like, oh yeah, well that you just do it this way. That is so helpful, but at the same time, it's so encouraging. And that's why we need each other.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome.
Yeah, no. And that's exactly what's kind of been happening, because like when I'm talking about automation and processes, like I'll get into businesses where they'll say, where like they'll want technology for their process, and you get through it and I'll get so discouraged because their process is so hard and it's hard to make technology work for that process. And it's getting to the point where I used to work with a guy, Shane, and he is Lean Sigma, like black belt certified. And so I was talking to him and he's like, well, you got to do what we did at work. Like you got to separate the human process or the actual process versus the technology. And so even just him, like when I get to that point where it's like, whoa, like I don't really even understand the process when someone is walking through it. It's like, well, let's bring it Shane in, and he'll go through like wastes and just take technology completely out of it and just say, okay, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Who's doing what and when? And so then when I come back in and it's like, oh, this is a clean process, I can definitely do it. So you're exactly right. Just having partners, having people around you make all the difference, because you can't know everything, and
No.
you shouldn't. Yeah, you should just do what you do well.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, Luke. So like I mentioned earlier, Northbound Solutions, the vision is to elevate your team through Christ-centered leadership. From the Bible, from beginning to end, is teaching us leadership. It's one of the main lessons is leadership from the beginning to end. So what I'd like to do is ask you if you would share your testimony and then any encouragement that you have for others to lead like Jesus.
Yeah. So are you looking for the testimony of when Jesus? Yeah.
Yes. Everything.
So
yes.
Yeah. So I grew up knowing enough about that there was a God, but I did not really, like, I just didn't know him. Right. So I just thought it was kind of like a fairy tale, just like one of those things. But I knew enough. Like I went to the Easter services, I went to the big ones, right? And I did get confirmed as a kid. And so like, I knew enough, but just thought it was a fairy tale. And I actually remember certain cases where, like growing up, where I would make fun of people that were studying the Bible, like at a fast food restaurant or anything like that. Like I remember turning to my coworkers, actually, because I was older, and saying like that's ridiculous, and just making fun of them, and actually cracking jokes and things. And so I've always been someone who knew, the Bible talks about like God putting the law kind of on your heart. Like I knew right from wrong, but I didn't follow it. So I did a lot of I tried everything that the Lord kind of has to offer. And it wasn't until transition, and I was already married, I already had 2 kids, I believe. And it wasn't until a transition in our life where I was kind of transitioning to a different job, and just things just weren't working the way that I kind of thought that they were going to work. And I'm just sitting in a chair just like this. And I'm just kind of frustrated with life in general. And because on the outside, everything was going good, like new job, promotion, like I'm, had enough money, could support family, kids, and I was younger, early to mid 20s. And so on the outside, everyone was like, wow, like, and I put this front up, like everything is going great. And so I had everything, but man, I was in a really bad spot. And I knew like I wasn't leading my wife well, and my family well. There's just a lot of things that were going on. I remember just sitting in a seat just like this, and I'm I had nowhere else to turn. Like I had nowhere else. I've tried everything. I've talked to people. I've even went to counseling. Like I mean, I was just trying different things, and I still I'm just upset. And I had just all of a sudden, so for like, I believe God, this is why I'm so passionate about things, because I believe God actually continues to pursue people, like just continues to pursue even those who flat out reject him, like me. And I just felt this peace. I'm just sitting there upset, complaining, not even really talking to God, just upset. And all of a sudden I just feel this peace. And right then my mind was like, there's something here. Like I didn't even know, but I knew there was something different in the room. And so I kind of started the whole fleece. If you know your Bible, you know, with the three fleeces and oh, I'm gonna give God a test. That's exactly what I did. Like I'm like, man, this is not God. Like, no way. So gave him some tests, and I was actually like using my wife because my wife was around, and I was like, she does this, you know, and she does this, and literally like she was doing exact like things, and so that is no coincidence. God revealed himself, and I'm not saying God controls people. What I'm saying is God already knows, and he knows what we're doing, and and so he caught me in that perfect time, already kind of knew what I was thinking, and bam, like, and from then on I don't like, I said, okay, I know you're real now. And I looked at my wife because I had just this overwhelming sense that I need to pray with her. First time I've ever prayed with her. I went to her and I said, I think we got to pray. And I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I just know I need to pray. And so I grab her, and the look on her face was like, you just cheated on me, like dead serious. Like it was like, why would you
Right.
want to pray? You're going to tell me something horrible.
Right.
And so I grab her, and I'm just sitting, like, knelt down on the couch right with her, and I'm just praying. I'm just laying it all out there, saying, "Man, I'm completely living for this world." Like, and I don't even know, like, nobody ever taught me any of that. Like, I all I kn- and I just said, God, I know you're real, show me. Like, I want you. And and that's all I said. And I don't even know if I really even said Jesus, but I said, I know you're real. I want you. And the very next day, like, the very next day, I had a fire to get in the Lord. Like I have never, I mean, get in the word, like I had never, ever thought of. And I believed it was true. Like, so I have a 180 experience of where I know what it was like without the Spirit. And then I know what it was like when the Bible says you were baptized with the Spirit.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
it was night and day different. And I even get emotional and start talking about it because I see kind of where God has taken me through it, and like a better leader that he's allowed me to be, and even just with my kids, and to where I came from before, and the just and frankly, even when he came and got me, and then I kind of thought, oh, everything's just going to be great. Like now, as I'm starting to learn the Bible, like everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
And it actually was the worst. So I always tell people this: coming to the Lord was the worst time in my life, but the best time in my life.
Mm.
Because when I came to the Lord and I started learning the Bible, and he started changing me, I realized how many people I totally affected. Like there were, through my actions, that I still to this day even like sometimes have guilt around, and I didn't, and it wasn't even like anything I was trying to do back then. It was just, it happened because of the choices that I made. And so while I thought I was just this great person, I don't mean great, but like I knew right from wrong, my choices were still not only leading me down a trail, but it was leading people I had influence on that I had no idea I had influence on. So as a leader, like, even if you don't think you're a good leader, or even if you don't even think you're a leader at all, like you have influence on people, and you have influence that you don't even know about. And and the Lord had to show me all that. People were coming to me and telling me like I ruined their life, like just through this whole time. And I just had to kind of give all that guilt, give all that up, and just say, man, I'm a different person now, and had to learn scripture to kind of get me out of that as well. But that's why it's so important to memorize God's promises and scriptures, because that's the only thing that's going to take that lie, kind of out of your head. So that was my kind of conversion, and the Lord has just done so many different things since then. It's been a great joyride of ups and downs, but it's been a great time. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's um yeah, that's incredible. And I'm thankful that we're having this opportunity to hear that from you. And I'm thankful that we've had the opportunity to get to know each other and even have this time today where we're having this discussion. And we're having this discussion when it comes to what we do every day, our businesses, our this what you just shared, it applies to us. It
It
applies
does.
to us in our entire life. And um that's why I felt led to start Northbound Solutions. It's about not separating God from what we do at all. So
No,
every
yeah, and like,
and that's why this is so powerful what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah, and Chris, like you and I, we have that. Like you and I sat here in this very same spot that I'm at now, and prayed specifically that the Lord would bring. We just had this urge and this nudge that the Lord was needed to bring somebody here, and that very day,
Yeah.
somebody shows up
Yep.
at the office to get their computer fixed. Computer is completely fine. It's actually a brand new computer. And through that, I was able to share not only the gospel, but just to pray for her because she knew, and she kind of fell away. But and she walked out of the room saying, "I came to get my computer fixed, but you prayed for me." Like it was just she couldn't gather that thought, like just that. And And the only solution to that is the Lord is real and he brought me here. Like it's nuts. And so, yeah, I think about that every single day of where the Lord brought me and then like how he came and got me. And then now, like I said, I'm not pushing the Lord on anybody, but like the Lord is specifically goes after people. Like he
Yes.
goes after people. He wants people to have the peace that transcends all understanding, as it says. Like he wants people to have that, and there's so much unrest in this life that um, that's why I think I'm called into business is just to reach people that I would never be able to reach because I've always had that thought of well maybe I should just drop everything and go be a pastor and or something, and it's like the Lord continues to affirm that he's allowing me to reach people that
Yeah. Through what you're doing. Yeah. Through I mean, it's a perfect example of what we've been talking about. And that is that she brings in a computer, which correct me if I'm wrong, but that's you don't really have a storefront for bringing a computer to get
yeah,
fixed. So it's shocking that she would even walk in to have her computer fixed by you. And then on top of that, the computer, which is something that you can help her with, actually doesn't matter. In the big
yeah,
picture of things, the technology that we're talking about, all this stuff we're talking about does not matter. It's the person that's standing in front of you
right,
that matters. So that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank
yeah.
you for sharing your testimony. Um, do you have any parting thoughts or anything you wanted to say after that? Let us know too. If you do, tell us that. If not, tell us how can people reach you? I'm obviously going to put your information, include it with the video at the end and have ways for people to reach you and how do they contact you. But anything else you want to say and encourage people on that?
Yeah, no, I think I've kind of weaving that across this whole thing, but yeah, I just want to encourage people that what especially leaders like what you're doing does matter, and it is about the people, and there is so many people like just even you and I is an example, but there's so many people out there that the Lord is doing something like there's so many people that have the same kind of mindset as us in the sense of if we just focus on people, if we just care more about them than the results come. So that's the biggest thing I think I would just try to encourage people on is it as a small business owner, I'm getting so caught up a lot of times in just the day-to-day stuff that I forget that it is about people, and I
Yeah.
forget, and even my time sometimes, like I'll be like, oh, that's going to take too much time, or but I've never had anytime I've set things aside for people, I've never regretted that after doing it. So yeah, that would be the encouragement. Is just not to get so busy to where you don't even see the people that need around you, you know.
Perfect. Okay. Well,
And how to contact me?
yes.
Just go to 2Mation.com, www.2, the number 2, Mation.com, and it's all there as far as my contact information, whether that's email, phone, social media, like any way you can get a hold of us. So
Perfect. Yes. To everybody listening, if you are bogged down in processes
yeah,
or in your programs, give Luke a call or text him or go onto the website and give him an email, reach out to him, because freeing up that time allows you to focus on your people, allows you to also sometimes focus on your family and yourself, and then also make some money too.
yeah.
So I'll thank you, Luke, for doing this. Thank you for your time. This has been great. I appreciate it. All of our time together has been encouraging. So thank you.
Yeah.
I encourage all of you and empower all of you to be bold in your organizations, lead humbly and confidently, knowing that you are created for this. See ya.